Hey there, everybody. Steve Bailey here. And today, what I want to do is I want to create a graphic for StreamElements. Um, and big shout out to a friend of mine over at Alpha Gaming, Harris Heller. He created this amazing, I'll put a link down below in the description, but he created this amazing widget that's like a follower slash sub slash tip train, whatever you want to use it for. But you need to have graphic elements. So what I did was I created some graphic elements, and I gave them my son for my son's Twitch channel, Twitch TV / Marky B TV. And I created some Pokemon elements for him, and he wanted a different one. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to create a new graphic. I'm going to do it using Adobe Premiere, Adobe Photoshop, and Adobe After Effects. Now, I have an older version. I don't have the newest version. So what I'm using is CS6, which is the last version that I own. And I'm going to show you how I create it. Now, you can do this with other free tools, but these are the tools that I'm familiar with. These are the tools that I use. So this is what I'm using. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to switch over to here. And first thing you have to do is you have to get the graphic elements. So let me get Chrome loaded up. And that's on the wrong screen. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look for the Pokemon sheet that you want. They call it a sprite sheet because what they do is they rip all the different sprites from the Pokemon games and they save them in a graphics file. So my son likes Totodile, which I had no idea what a Totodile was, but he told me and he spelled it. So it's Totodile sprite sheet. So if you do a Google search for Totodile sprite sheet, you get a variety of different things. And the ones created by this guy, Josh R691, is the ones I typically use. So this is the Totodile spreadsheet, and you can see it's just a bunch of still animation or still graphics from uh, the character itself. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a walking animation. So this row right here, if you kind of follow along with your eyes, is kind of Totodile walking. So the first thing I want to do is I want to save this image locally. So I'm going to save this in, yeah, I have a Twitch folder. And I'm going to save it in, and I'm going to create a new folder for Totodile. And I'm going to call it Totodile Sprite Sheet. Okay, so that's saved. So the next thing I want to do is I need to open that up in Photoshop. So I'm going to fire up Photoshop. And again, these are the tools that I use because these are the ones I'm most familiar with. These are paid tools. There are free ways to do it, but this is showing you how to do it with the Adobe suite. So I'm going to open up. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my pictures, and I'm going to go back to my Twitch directory, Pokemon, Totodile, and load up the sprite sheet. So you can see right here, it's very small. This is going to be smaller than what I like to work with. So the first thing I do is I make it larger, and I go under image size, and I just add a 0 to each one of these. And when you do that, in order to keep the edges crisp, if I just do it straight up like this, you'll see that what happens is it gets very blurry. See how it kind of blurs the edges? So instead, what I will do is I'll do the same thing. I'll do an image size, but I'll change this to nearest neighbor, which preserves the hard edges. So you can see it's still very pixely, which is the goal. So I'm going to make it smaller. The next thing I need to do is I need to get rid of this background here. So the way I do that is I do select color range, select that color, and hit OK. And you can see the little marching ants around that entire color. Take my background and unlock it, because if you don't, you can't delete it. And then I hit delete. So now I have a completely transparent background. And what I will do, what I have found the workflow that makes this the easiest, is I will just select this entire row. like that. And I'll make sure I'm not missing any pixels. Nope. And I'll copy that. So I'll do edit, copy, open up a new one, and paste it in, and get rid of my background. So now I have just those icons I want to work with. Now the way that I do this is I count the number of rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 8 rows in this, and I'll just duplicate this 8 times. And I will just go down and rename them frame 1. Okay, so now I will turn off all the frames but the 1. And I'll zoom in, and I'm holding down the Alt key. This is a Windows. And I'm zooming in. And then I hold down the space bar and pan it over. So I'm just working on the 1 frame. So I'm going to start here, and then what I'm going to do, let me reorganize these, because otherwise I can't see what I'm doing. You'll see why this is a problem in a minute. Okay, so now frame 1's on the bottom. So now I'm working on frame 2. So since frame 2 is selected here, I can now hit my V key, so I'm doing a select, and I can move frame 2 over top of frame 1. But I need to make sure that I'm not losing any pixels. So that looks good. So now I'll take frame 3. Oh, I got to turn it on. Hang on. Can't see it. So now I'll take frame 3. So there's frame 2. I'll take frame 3 and move it over. Now I'll take frame 4, 2, 3, 4, and I'll put that over that. Frame 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'll do frame 6, 2, oops. I see, look, because I had frame 5 selected, I moved the wrong one, so I need to do 6. You always want to make sure you're moving the top frame. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kind of line that up. Now we'll do 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, I may not be getting this exactly right. I'm gonna fix that in a second. And we'll go all the way to the last one here. And right there. All right, so now everything I'm doing is encaptured in this 1 frame. So now what I want to do is I want to crop it. I'm gonna, crap, hang on. Let me start that over. So I was trying to do something. I got to zoom out this way because I want to move this crop this way. Then I'm going to zoom back in. So now I just want to make sure that I've got the entire thing selected. And if I've got some extra pixels on the side, that's okay. I'll fix that in a minute. So that looks about right. So we're going to crop that. Okay, so now we go back to frame 1. And then 2. All right, now notice that he's moving backwards a little bit. So I'm going to take frame 1 and I'm going to move that back just a touch. Okay, so now I've got that right. Now we'll do this one. He's got a little bit of jump in his step there. So I'm going to take 3 and move it down just a bit. No, I liked it better where it was. So 3 looks good. Now we'll edit 4. All right, so now he's putting his foot down. So his body's coming down, so that's good. So let's take a look at 5. Shifting. Okay. Let's look at 6. All right, now 6 has a little bit of a thing here, so what I got to do is I got to pull out my eraser, go up to 6, and erase that. Now we'll do 7. Okay, so 7 has a little bit here, so we'll go into 7 and erase that. And we'll do 8. Okay, so that looks good. So if I run all of these through, now the one thing I don't like is I've got this space at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recrop this, and I'm going to move that up. So now I've got one shape that encompasses the entire walking animation. Okay, so all that looks good. So now what I want to do is I want to save this, and I want to call it Totodile walking. Okay, that's done. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull that into After Effects. Okay, so the way that's going to work is we're going to pull in, we're going to create a new project, and I'm going to import a file, and we're going to go get the Totodile. Now, the variety of ways you can import things into After Effects. What you want to do for this is you want to import it as a composition, and you want to make it editable layer styles. Because what you're going to then want to do is you're going to want to open this this composition here, and you can see right here it's got all 8 of my frames. Now, what I do at this point is I resequence them here, because otherwise he's going to be walking backwards. So I'm going to put 1 up here, and I'll show you what I mean by that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 on the bottom. Now, what I like to do when I do these animations is I like to make each frame of the animation last 6 seconds. So I have 8 frames at 6 seconds. That's 48 frames. So what I want to do is I want to set the composition settings here to 48 frames. So I'm just going to put 48 here. And that will, if I zoom out a little bit, that will make the length of this composition 1 second and 18 frames, which is what I want. So now what I'm going to do, and this is the easy way that I found to do it, is I'm going to select all my frames. I'm going to move out to frame 6. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the layers right there. And I believe the key for that is, yeah, Control-Shift-D. And then I'm going to delete those split layers. And that what that does is that basically trims all my layers down to 6 seconds. There may be easier ways to do it. That's the easiest way I found to do it. So once you have all 6 or all 8 frames at 6 frames each, you can then go up to Animation, Keyframe Assistant, Sequence Layers. And in this case, it's asking me, do I want any overlap? And I do not. And what that's going to do is that's going to put frame 1 for 6 frames, frame 2, then frame 3. So now I can actually watch the animation. And then, so you can see right there, it looks like, and let's see if I can play this on a loop. RAM preview. So that looks like a good walk cycle. Okay, so that's good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to save that. Oh, and we're going to call that, no, it's under pictures. Actually, I save my projects under Documents, After Effects Projects. We'll create a folder called Walking Totodile. And we'll call this Walking Totodile Project. Okay, now you would think right now you'd render this in After Effects, but we don't because After Effects does not support WebM video files, which is what you need for StreamElements to be able to put a video file in StreamElements. So I'm going to shut out of this and I'm going to go into Premiere. But before you go into Premiere, here's what you need to do. You need to find, and it's called NORD, Ford and Where, WebM. So I'll put this link in the description below the video. But you need to download this extension. And I'm going to go ahead and do that just so you can see the process. So I'm going to download it for Windows because I'm on Windows. Now, I'm not exactly sure how it works on Mac, but the process should be the same. So I'm going to show this in the folder, and I'm going to install it. Now, normally I would do the install, but in this case, I've already got it installed, so I'm not going to do that. But here's the catch. If you're running an older version of Premiere, once you're done with this, I'll just tell you what is going to happen. Once you've done this, it actually installs the WebM extension in is it here? No, it's not here. Okay, so here's what happens. When you run the extension, it installs by default uh, the WebM PRM file under Program Files, Adobe Common Plugins 7.0, which is what's used for the new versions of Adobe Media Core. Now, I don't have the new versions of Adobe, so what I had to do in my case, and if you're using CS6 like I am, you'll have to take this and copy it, go back up to the plugins directory and go under the CS6 Media Core directory and paste it in here, which is what I've done. If you just do the install and don't do this step, the plugin will not show up in Premiere. So you have to do this step first. So I've already done that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project, Totodile walking. Okay, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to create a new folder called Totodile walking. I'm going to go into Totodile walking and save it. It really doesn't matter what you pick here because here's what's going to happen. You have to create a sequence in Premiere. When I import the After Effects file and drag it down to the sequence, it's going to change all of the sequence settings to match the After Effects file. So it doesn't matter which profile you pick. So I'm going to do an import of the walking Totodile. It has to connect, and I'm going to pick which composition in this After Effects file I want. And I want the Totodile walking. So now this is where it does that. So if I take this and drag it over to here, it's going to say does not match, and I want to change the sequence settings to match. So now I'm going to zoom in, and here is my Totodile walking. So to render this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, I'm going to make sure that my sequence is selected, and I'm going to go up to File, Export Media, and this is where WebM comes in, or WebM comes in. Under Format, I'm going to pick WebM. Now, I have a preset called Alpha WebM. You're not going to have that. What you need to do once you've got WebM selected is come down here and go down to right here where it says Include Alpha Channel. If you don't, it's going to have a black background. So you want to make sure you've got Include Alpha Channel checked. Then what you want to do is save a preset called Alpha WebM. And I'm going to change this to Walking Totodile. So that's it. it's going to create a file called walkingtotodile.webm. And that's it. So the way you include this in StreamElements is, I'll go to my StreamElements. So I have the Alpha Subtrain V2. This is what I got from Alpha Gaming. Harris Heller, thank you very much. So I'm going to edit this. And this is my son's StreamElements. But over here is the sub/follow train. So if I click on that, I can come down here. Right now it's using a Pikachu image. All I've got to do is change the video, upload a new video. We'll go back to videos. Was it under, was it Totodile? No, it was under Twitch. I'll include that. And then I'll submit it. And that's done. So now what happens is when Mark gets a follower, he gets his follower alert here, but he also gets the follower train to trigger up here. So Squirtle comes down here, and then up here you have Totodile walking towards a Pokeball. Now this is slow because we want the subtrain or the follow train to be able to be built. I'm going to change it to 10 seconds just so you can see the walk cycle a little faster. And then when he gets to the end of the train, he gets captured in the Pokeball. And then that's the end of the train. So I'll set that back. All right, so he's good to go. And I'm going to come up here. And that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to show you guys how to do. There were a lot of questions in the Alpha Gaming Discord on how to do that. So I thought it would be good to throw together a little tutorial on how to do that. Again, if you haven't had a chance to check out Alpha Gaming, I'll leave a link to his channel down below. He's a very cool dude. Harris Heller, thank you so much. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, I stream on Twitch. I'll put a link right below here. My schedule is posted there. It's every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. I don't stream for very long. I'm an older guy and I have a full-time job, but I do enjoy streaming. I do enjoy sharing this kind of content with you guys. I might play an occasional game, but most of the time it's going to be creative stuff. Also, check out twitch.tv/MarkyBTV. His channel will also be linked below if you want to check out his alerts and his follows that I created for him. And that's it. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.